What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Fans FC, episode 22. This is going to be a really big, super heavy MLS focused podcast today because obviously the biggest game in American soccer is happening this weekend, tomorrow, in the MLS Cup final. But before we get into that, we had like crazy news. I didn't even know what's happening today, but
well, they didn't even stream it.
I know. Don Garber just had his State of the League address where basically he's updating on what happened throughout this past season and what we expect to see following into the next season. And I kind of read through it on Twitter. I mean, everybody kind of got their information on there, or X now, because everybody got their information through there.
I will not call it that, just so you know. No, I refuse.
But with that being said, like I said, tons of stuff to unpack. And Adam, take us through. We're only going to talk about the highlights. We're not going to talk about everything, like all the MLS jerking itself off type of stuff. We're just going to talk about the actual things people want to hear. So start off with the first thing that really caught your eye.
So we're definitely not going to dive into him jerking off the league, but that is how he started it off. And it makes sense. You can't blame him for doing that. It was the biggest year in MLS history, obviously. All you need to know is that he called it a transformational year for MLS, and he's right. There's nothing really to argue there. You got the Apple TV deal. You have Leo Messi. You have a new tournament in the League's Cup. A lot of eyes on these games. Obviously, Messi helped because, in two of their tournaments, he's gotten to the final. So, that obviously gets more eyes on it. So that's going to help. It was obviously such a huge, big sports story, and it helped grow and put so many eyes on this league. But there were, aside from that, once you get into the nitty gritty, there were one thing that he said that I hated, and one thing that he said that is exciting, because we don't know where it's going to go. We're hoping could be good, could be bad. Let's start with the thing that I know is bad. Talking about the schedule, all these new competitions, how many games that we've been having. They basically asked, how are you going to manage the schedule? You have, the most games you guys have ever had. And he said it's a complicated and challenging issue. We don't always control our calendar, and there's no easy answer. I think that's code for, I don't fucking care. Like he's clearly like I don't. It's like he's trying to blame it on someone else. Like, are you fucking kidding me? The commissioner of MLS is like, oh, we don't control the calendar. Shove it up your ass, Don Garber. That's the stupidest bullshit I've ever said. And it's like, well, can the league afford to shut down? He says we can't afford it. But that being said, we have to manage through our process. What does that mean? Fucking tell us, you dumb fuck. So stupid. It's the one thing I'll talk shit as much as I want to talk shit. Okay? I'll praise him. MLS had a great year. And then you got all these. That's the one thing that everybody was complaining about. Oh, you got MLS games during the international window? Shove it up your fucking ass, you piece of shit.
All right, this is an explicit show today, boys.
You're gonna cause because this is serious. You're gonna cause players to ruin their careers. You have players who can't fucking walk after these seasons because we bring in some old players from overseas. They're not spring chickens, and you put them into this crazy schedule. You're gonna destroy careers. And it's disgusting that they can't realize that. It's bad enough that we play on turf, and it's even worse that you're going to make them play fucking 40-plus games a year.
Yeah, I could honestly go without.
Insane. So I want to hear your thoughts on it, because I think mine are pretty obvious before we move on to the next topic.
I will say I took it as when he was saying like things we can't control. I think he was mostly talking about the international windows. At least that's what I think. I think
you can't control when they have. Actually, you fucking know when they're going to happen.
And
It's like this every time. There's always a week like in November that you take off. There's I don't. It's more like when I'm playing Football Manager, I know it more. But like when international breaks are. It's kind of like a set thing. There's always international breaks. Like when a season starts in August, you have like 2 or 3 weeks of season, and then you have 2-week international break, and then you go back into it. Like it's always like that. I don't understand. Like, yeah, you can't control it, but that doesn't mean you can't do anything about it. Those are two
I will
different
say
things.
I always hate the November window. I think the November window is useless. I mean, I don't understand why they do September, October, November, like 3 months in a row. I think that does hurt MLS, especially with the way that we have a spring to fall season. But with that being said, I do think they're going to do a better job. I think all the eyeballs with Messi being here and Inter Miami having to play through those international windows, seeing Messi getting hurt in during that, trying to balance. I think there was just so many eyeballs on it, and now you can't look bad. You have to get this shit right. You have to. And now also with the playoff system, like we talked about yesterday, the playoffs feels long as hell because they had to take a 3-week break in the middle of the playoffs. You lost all momentum that you had after this 3-game series, which part of it could be with the 3-game thing. I think that I know they want to do the Leagues Cup, but I still narrow down to one of the biggest issues that's going on is this fucking Leagues Cup. Trying to squeeze this thing in is just ridiculous. Like, God forbid, just make a Europa League. And have it coincide with the Champions League. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, like an everyone else league. Like you're not in Champions Cup, so you guys go for it or something.
And I'm surprised CONCACAF is like allowing this because I don't know. Like I think I don't know the details of it.
Yeah, like and we've talked about this before. I don't have anything against.
It's just the pausing of the entire season, a whole month, is what really sucks. Instead of spreading it out, now you have the U.S. Open Cup, the Champions Cup. Now you have the Leagues Cup. It's just a lot. And then we're coming into a year, like you said, they have to get it right. They have to, because you're coming in Copa America, and whatever they set in place this season is going to, I think they're thinking ahead in the next 3 years, because whatever's put in place this season, they're probably going to replicate it the next 3 years, because after this, you have the Copa America this year, and not this upcoming year in 2024. Then you're going to have the Club World Cup, which is going to run at probably the same window. And now you're going to have the World Cup. You have to find a way to not let these things overlap, especially if you really want things to grow here in this sport. Like, you cannot expect fans to even pay attention to the league and the games if you literally have the World Cup here. Like, who's going to want to go to a Sporting KC game when you're going to go watch like Germany versus France? Like, I'm sorry, like, it's just not going to happen. So I think whatever they come up with this year is going to be what it's going to do. It's possible. I think they can do it. Look, people want to say we should switch the fall to spring. I don't think so. I think the winter just fucks everything up. And I know he mentions it, and we're going to talk about that soon. But like, you can make it work, man. They do it in South America. Brazil runs spring to fall. I don't know why we find it so hard. And I think too, a lot of like American-based soccer fans, they don't really follow down south, so they don't really realize I've talked to people, and a lot of people don't realize that Brazil and a lot of South America has spring to fall. I don't think that's the issue. I think the problem is they're scheduling so terribly. I don't think we have to exactly be like Europe, because like I said, Brazil, I have always found Brazil to be the 6th best league in the world. If they can do it, why can't we? I'm like, they go by the same international windows. They have the same tournaments. They have the Sudamericana. They have the Copa Libertadores. Like, why can't we do the same thing? Like, why do we struggle so hard? And that's the thing I don't understand. I don't understand why we don't struggle so hard. I'm sure down south, like, I don't follow it religiously, so I don't know if they might have their own issues too. But it doesn't seem to be as big of an issue like we have here with us constantly playing through international windows. Granted, they don't have a fucking Leagues Cup now, But this is, and look, I don't want to put all the blame on Leagues Cup because this is shit that's been happening before Leagues Cup. They've constantly, the playoffs have always ran through the
it just made it look worse.
It made it look worse. It made it worse.
Well, so yeah, that too.
But I do think I have faith. I want to end it off like I have faith that I think they're actually going to get it right. I think it's possible. I think because there's moments in the schedule. It's like, look, we're playing like 3 games. We're playing they're playing like Inter Miami and a couple other teams are playing 3 games in like 8 days. But then the beginning of the season, we're playing. But the thing is, in the beginning of the season, we're playing once a week. It's like we could have filled some of those in the beginning of the season.
Obviously, like every other.
Obviously, teams who are in the Champions League, they can't. But it's not like the Champions League is every week. There's still gaps you can find.
And there's not many teams that are affected by that.
And look, if you want to have your Leagues Cup, shorten the regular season, man. Shorten the regular season. You got to go back to single elimination, but that's a topic for another day.
You don't need to play Western. Format. Yeah, and because it's so conference heavy, you don't need to play so many out of conference games.
No, so I don't know. I mean, I think they I don't even think they're going to. I think they have to. They have to get it right. Like he said, this is a transformational moment in MLS with so many eyeballs, with Messi, with the American fan now being introduced to the game because of him and because of all these upcoming tournaments we're going to have. You got to get it right because it does look Bush League, and people who are trying to get into it are going to be like, what? Like, this makes no sense. Why are we playing like it's, you know what I mean? You just got to make sure it's clear and consistent that, hey, this is what's happening. So, yeah, I think that's enough for schedule talk. So what else was addressed?
So we're gonna lighten the mood a little bit. So even though there's been a lot of talk about roster rule changes, Garber did confirm that there are no plans to add a 4th DP, but did tease a roster change, and that will be announced next week. So it's very exciting to see what that's going to be. Like I said, it could be a very good thing, could be very lackluster. But overall, I'm hearing good things. They're going to have to, loosen up a little bit. There was never really pressure. I'm not exactly annoyed that they're not adding a 4th DP. But just giving the ability to spend and loosen it up and, because one of the problems MLS has always had is very top heavy because you can only spend so much. So what do all these teams choose to spend on? Creative midfielders and forwards and wingers, not really defenders and not really goalies. St. Louis is the exception.
Or defensive midfielders.
Yeah, or even defensive midfielders.
I guess we do spend decent. I think a lot of teams do actually get a lot of 6s and DPs.
Yeah, I guess that's true nowadays, but
so. Yeah,
just defensively in general, like as a unit, the team is never going to be as strong in the back as it is in the front. That's just how it is. So I think any change, any adjustment that would make it more well-rounded, I think would help. So that's why I'm happy with just a just a change to the cap or how it's allocated, and not necessarily needing to throw in another DP. I don't think that's necessary.
So what do you think is going to happen? Are you expecting some grand change, or do you think it's going to be, it's nice, but it's not what you want?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think it's
really.
I think we're going to think it should have gone further, but at the same time, it'll be good. I think they're going to just, if I had to take a guess, I think they're just going to just open up the cap a bit more. They're just going to say, okay, the cap is being increased to this. I think that's the best way to do it. It's the easiest way to do it. Is just to say, hey, you guys can spend X amount more on salaries now per year. You don't really have to think about the DPs or anything. You can just sign players, good quality, normal players. But the amount is where it's going to be the question mark. And really, who knows at this point? I could just be talking. I'm just talking out of my ass. Like anybody who feels like they have an opinion, nobody really knows what they're going to do. This is definitely an unprecedented season for MLS. So it really is anybody's guess, but that's mine.
Yeah, I do know. I can't remember if you mentioned it or not, but in one of the quotes, Don Garber does mention that he pretty much that there's not going to be rule changes, but there is going to be changes to like spend. Like it doesn't seem like they're going to get rid of the Tam Gam stuff, but it does
Yeah,
seem
that's
like
why I
there
was
is
saying
going to
it
be.
just seems like
It was
it's not going to
weird
be a
because
rule
he
change.
said,
That's why I say it's going to be just
yeah,
a cap increase. I think it's just going to be simple. Hey, you guys can spend a little bit more now.
or it could be more Tam and Gam money too. That could be a thing too. Um, as for me, look, I've never, and I don't honestly, I feel like a lot of people kind of felt this way too. It's like, would a fourth DP be nice? Yes. But like, do I care about a fourth DP? Do I feel like a fourth DP is really going to change the league like drastically? No, I've never been a fan of like, oh, let's add more DPs. I think if anything, and I know a lot of people feel this way, and I'm sure you feel this way too, Adam's like, I'd rather have one, maybe two DPs and crank the salary cap floor to like 25, 30
Or
million.
just get
And
rid of the freaking DPs
no, I
and
think you
make the
keep
cap.
DP.
I
I
think
think
you
you
can
keep
make it so that the
DP.
cap makes it so that hey, this is still the cap. You have the room for the same amount of DPs, but I don't know. That's just my thought.
Here's
But
my thing because there's going to be players that are just like Messi. Messi's getting paid $50 million a year. Even if we were increased the cap to 30 million, there's no way of signing a Messi. I think you need to at least have one, maybe two, where like, look, you want to bring in fucking, I don't know, Ronaldo. Ronaldo's going to want more than 10 million a year. You know what I mean? Like, so I think you should always have one or two, but like, yeah, they need to increase the cap. They need to get rid of the roster rules. But it seems like from what he says, they're not going to really change the rules itself. But he does see, I do remember him saying he does see it changing in the future. So it look if that's the near future, that's great. I don't think it's going to be this year, but I do agree with you. I think everybody's getting kind of excited, but I wouldn't expect much because MLS, when it comes to like changing stuff, except for the playoff format, they'll change the playoff format fucking year
they
after
don't
year. They don't
fucking
give
care.
a fuck.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that, they're super slow about adding stuff. So I, as much as I would love to be like, hey, guess what, guys? We're getting rid of the Tam Gam salary cap is 20 million. Do we want? I don't think it's going to happen, but I think we're going to get like a raise in like Tam and Gam allocation money. So like maybe like a max Tam player is probably going to make 2.5. Let's say that. And then your standard salary cap, which I think is like 7, I want to say 7 million, is probably going to bounce up to, let's say 10. All right. We're back. Had to cut off. But anyways, yeah, I don't think we're going to get much. I think it's going to be like a 2 million increase. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. It's going to help. I think it's something that they had to do to possibly get a Luis Suarez. I think there's a reason why we haven't heard any news of his signing yet, because I do think they're trying to find a way to get him in there. So that's my conspiracy theory. I think they were going to change it regardless if Suarez came or not with Messi coming. But I do think, hey, we want Suarez here. I do think that's a little bit more of a push from MLS to like, all right, let's try to find a way we can increase the TAM money, because all the reports are coming out that he's going to be a TAM player. He's not going to be a DP, obviously, because there's only 3 BDPs and they're all filled. But, this is what I was going to say was that the problem is you have owners that are super ambitious, like LAFC, Miami, the Galaxy, NYC, Atlanta. You have all these super ambitious, and there's others I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but there's these owners that want to spend more. They want to push the boundary. They want to do more, especially with the Club World Cup. They want to be able to compete in Champions League. But then you got these old heads that just been here forever, like your boy Kroenke, and they don't want to spend more money because they just look at this as like a way for tax write-offs. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they're like, fuck that. Who gives a shit? They're like, oh, I don't care.
Hopefully, as time comes and there's more of a push, we can hopefully see something soon. And I think eventually Don Garber and MLS and all the execs just got to be like, look, you're either doing it or you're not, or you need to get out. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, they're just franchise owners. They're just franchise owners. So look, there's plenty of teams that want to come. There's plenty of people that want to get involved. Clearly, you know what I mean. So you need to have it happen. So all right, let's hit the next point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So the final point that I wanted to talk about, this was a big story. We did touch on it in past episodes. On the safety of officials, we had the Matt Miazga incident where he got into the ref's locker room, and Garber said, quote, we had never had a player enter the officials' locker room in the history of our league. It happened this year. It was a tough price to pay, end quote. And he added that the strict penalty to Miazga was necessary to communicate that official safety is paramount. So that's very positive. I think that was kind of an easy decision. It would take quite the idiot to fuck that one up, not protecting your referees for something like that. I mean, yeah, referees deserve to be criticized when they have bad games, but that was just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm glad that he made a comment about that, and I'm sure you agree as well.
No, yeah, I mean it's insane, dude. Like at the end of the day,
disgusting.
Don't get me wrong, MLS refs, they piss me off just as much as anybody else, but you can't be going there and doing that shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's just ridiculous.
I did want to bring
definitely a game. Me glad that
I was going to say I did want to bring up one more thing that I thought was kind of interesting. Was that he talked about the U.S. Open Cup, and let me get the exact quote here. We need to give it the profile and support it needs. He teases that there may be changes in how MLS participates in the future. And then whatever he said on the playoff structure, we love the format. Attendance was up, ratings are up. I don't know if I buy the playoff shit.
Care. Whatever.
I don't buy the playoffs.
Attendance is up. It's easy to have attendance and ratings up when there are more fucking games. You idiot. Jesus Christ.
Unless, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the ratings I can see maybe, but I mean, I don't know. But I mostly want to focus on the Open Cup part was that because obviously Open Cup has done historically a very bad job at promoting itself. And honestly, the best I've seen it promote itself was when Inter Miami was in it, when Messi came in the semifinal and the final. It seemed like that was the most coverage I've seen. Yeah. The U.S. Open Cup, like it was on Telemundo, it was on the Paramount Plus. They had high profile, your boy Ray Hudson, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, the prime CBS crew.
They had the Telemundo crew from the Premier League. Like they had, like it was obviously it's Messi, so things are going to be a little bit more upscale. There's going to be more interest in people are going to want to spend more money to get the rights. But I think U.S. soccer does need to do a better job. Look, remember the beginning of the tournament? MLS teams, the games were being aired on Bleacher Report football YouTube channel.
Oh,
like, come on, man. Look,
yeah,
you have the rights to Paramount Plus. Why was it not on Paramount Plus the whole time? So I think it needs to be on Paramount Plus. Or even if you're going to do it on the YouTube channel, like I don't know. I think they're at a point where they can't just be on a YouTube channel. They have to promote themselves, and being on like Paramount, having like a banner saying "Watch the U.S. Open Cup" or whatever it is. I mean, you want to be where the soccer fans are, and right now, without a shadow of a doubt, the best place for soccer fans is Paramount Plus. They have the most leagues out of like anybody. And then behind that's going to be ESPN, and then it's Peacock, who just has the Premier League. But like Paramount Plus, I mean, they have all the CONCACAF, the Brasileiro, the Argentinian League, the Champions League, Serie A, the NWSL, the U.S. Open Cup. Like I said, the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. You have all these things, like, and I'm sure I'm missing. They have the Scottish Premier League. You got to be in a place where the fans are already at and don't have to really look for you. Just kind of know. And obviously, too, CBS has done a great job just covering the sport in general, having the Golazo Network and all their TV shows and stuff solely focusing on soccer from American side. So you got to be where the people are. And I hope that they do more. We'll see. But I know Garber was upset, and they talked about MLS even potentially pulling out of the U.S. Open Cup. But after the comments today, it seems like they're going to kind of aid each other in figuring things out. Or shit,
Yeah,
maybe
which is the smart
Open Cup on Apple. Maybe you can get on Apple and keep it all in one place.
Something to get them working together would be great, but we'll see how it goes. So that was basically the State of the League address from Don Garber, and we only have a couple more topics to cover, but boy, are they fun. First, we got to talk about the semifinals and what led us to the two teams that we will be talking about. I want to start with the one that was arguably not as interesting. The LAFC versus Seattle. LAFC or Houston, sorry, excuse me. I don't know why I was thinking that. Versus Houston. Houston was a very hot team, but and if I remember correctly, yeah, it was in LA. Houston are much better at home, so I'm not really surprised about that. But yeah, LAFC. I mean, they crashed out of the CONCACAF Champions League. You know, they weren't exactly looking the strongest at definitely a good chunk of the season, but here they are, one game away from winning an MLS Cup. So you have to give them their props, even after all the bullshit that they encountered this season. They're still here playing in their second final of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the game was really entertaining, especially in the first half. I mean, look, it was just a 1-0 draw. I mean, a 1-0 win. But I thought both teams just clinically looked really good. Like the passing, there wasn't very many mistakes. It was honestly a pretty clean game from what I've seen from both teams. Like just watching it was just like this is smooth. This is smooth. But this is the one thing I always said with Houston was just like they don't have that killer. And LA has that killer. LA has Denny Bouanga, Golden Boot winner, runner-up for MVP of the league, a guy who can break the line and put a game away. And that's what he did. He got the goal. He got the go-ahead goal, and they were able to put it away. And that was my biggest thing with Houston. Houston is so good in the midfield, but they need a guy who can be relentless, who can break the line, and who can put it away and put up scores because they have so much creativity with Hector Herrera. The year Coco Carrasquilla is having, he's probably not even going to be in Houston anymore. He's probably going to move over to Europe this offseason. I think there's a certain amount of quality that they're missing, and especially not being at home really hurt them.
Yeah.
And especially with them being such a strong home team, and LAFC also a strong home team. And when you don't have that quality that LAFC has, you kind of rally behind that home field advantage. And I think LA just ended up being kind of too much for them. And it just ultimately led to them winning the game. I do want to say I was outside of the St. Louis Kansas City game. I was completely correct in my bracket on the Western side. And I'll talk about my Eastern side, but me and you both had the Western side. We had Houston and LAFC semifinal. Pretty much it was just the St. Louis Kansas City game, but Houston at being them anyway. So I was pretty damn accurate. And I think we're both pretty accurate on the Western side. But
yeah, you were definitely more for sure.
You had Seattle. Yeah, you had Seattle.
Yeah, because I wanted it to be ballsy. You know, with these tournaments, you never know. But yeah, no, it was definitely an interesting game. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I do want to talk about. Did you see the announcement that just came out today about what happened? So I'm assuming you saw let's call it the antics before the LAFC Houston game.
I saw the pictures, not the videos, but I didn't think the videos are necessary. Awesome. I think the pictures are enough.
It looked awesome, didn't it?
Yeah.
It looked fucking sick. Honestly, like that is the coolest looking like section I've ever seen in MLS. It looked fucking awesome. Obviously, it led to the delay of the start of the game, and MLS just came out today, pretty much kicking him out and not allowing them to be at the Columbus game this weekend.
Yeah.
But it seems like ownership at LAFC is probably just going to take the hit for them because they're going to have about 700, 800 supporters out there at the game as away fans. So I don't know how that's going to work, how MLS is going to handle that. But look, I will say this. Did LAFC break the rules? Yes, they did. It clear you can't have pyrotechnics. Do you want to see that kind of atmosphere and that kind of look in a soccer field and help bring fans and just kind of bring that kind of that European flair, that South American, no pun intended, the European flair, South American flair to the stadium and kind of bring that environment? Yeah, it looks cool. And if you can do it responsibly, yes. I know in Europe, and after hearing about a lot of the situations, people came out saying, yeah, in Europe, when they do some of the flares, a lot of them, at least in the more bigger leagues, there's professionals that do the flares, not so much just some random dude. But I want to say the fine, I can't remember the exact number of the fine, but I want to say it was about 200,000. I might be wrong on that. But I know the biggest thing was basically saying that they can't show up to the game. So I don't know how that's going to work with a ton of LAFC fans flying out to the game, the 3252 being suspended.
I think it's just stupid. I mean, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
The anti-fun police
like,
is all you really should say.
Yeah. Would I like to see it? Well, I'd like to see it done. Did they break the rules? Yes. I do not like the hypocrisy MLS is, because MLS is also, when they did this before in Portland, they promoted it. Don Garber promoted it, and then he pulled out of it. He posted it on his social media, and then he took it off. So it's like MLS wants to promote this and use this for marketing, but then you want to punish the people that did it. It's either you figure out a clear path to help boost the atmosphere, because it also says you're not supposed to have smoke bombs, but it seems like it's become an unwritten rule to where
everybody has smoke flares.
Everybody can have smoke bar.
There's a smoke. There's pink smoke at every Inter Miami game. Every single one.
Technically, in the fan of conduct, you're not supposed to. But it's become a thing where it's like, all right, it's not a big deal anymore. We don't care anymore. But it's there. I think MLS should look at a way to like, all right, what else can we allow fans to do, but also keep it in like organized? Because I also think some of the stuff is kind of, look, I understand people are like, look, you want real fans, you got to do all this stuff. I also do think a lot of this is like kind of a government thing. Like, I don't like you just, because this isn't rules that is just pertains to the MLS. These are rules that like pertain to like the NBA, the NFL, college football. Like,
yeah, they try and keep it all the same. It's like kind of standards that they use.
Yeah, it's so to just blatantly like come at MLS is a little odd, because like, dude, these are shit, like it or not, we have issues with like people bringing in shit into big events and doing things and getting people hurt. So like, I kind of understand the precautions, but I think if you can find a way to do it, like I said, like they do in some places in Europe, where you're bringing in a professional or whatever it is, or somebody who's trained to like pop the flares, and you can still have that same atmosphere. But I don't like the hypocrisy. I don't like how one moment you want to promote it and show all this stuff, but then at the same time punish people and all this, and then say it's not allowed.
Yeah,
it's like the fuck, dude. It's either you don't like it or you. And you don't even touch it. Don't use it as advertising. Exactly. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I will say I would like to see if they can figure out a way to like. I mean, look at Inter Miami. We had an issue in the preseason where we were popping off fireworks. I do think fireworks was a little bit different because those are legitimate like projectiles. So I do think that's a little different, because you're talking about projectiles versus like a flare. And now they do fucking fireworks at the game. So I don't know. We'll see how things go forward. But I do know a lot of LAFC fans were pissed about what happened.
I would be too.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a support and you can't even go watch your team in the MLS Cup final, but it seems like all of them are going to say "fuck it" anyways, and then it seems like even the ownership's like, "Yeah, go ahead, do it. We'll pay for it or whatever it is. We'll pay the fines or whatever."
Yeah, just go.
But,
Have fun.
Yeah, let's switch over to the other side, which is probably the more exciting game.
Oh, what a game that was
of the playoffs. Probably the most exciting game in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would say it is. Not only was it a rivalry game for the Eastern Conference Final, the Battle of Ohio.
That was real.
I mean, wow, what a game it was. You have FC Cincinnati going up to a 2-0 lead in the first half. They were in control of the game, but it all started to change in the 75th minute. An own goal was scored. Unlucky, but it happens. It was a good ball in. And then the man, he has made his return, and he is on a quest to win an MLS Cup against his former team, Diego Rossi, scoring in the 86th minute to send it to extra time. What a midseason pickup that guy has been. Great player.
Yeah, man.
He's
Awesome.
always been so good. He was so good for LAFC in that team, and such a big reason that they were so successful. It's a shame it didn't work out in Turkey, but Turkey they got their own fucking problems with their league, with corruption and shit. It's tough enough as it is. But yeah, and then it went to extra time, and in the second half of extra time, Christian Ramirez scored the winning goal and put Columbus to the MLS Cup final in absolute stunning fashion.
Yeah, I mean, amazing game. Like I tell you what, yeah, like you said, Diego Rossi pickup was massive, and also Julian Gressel on the right wing back. What Wilfred Nancy has been able to do, to me, he is the best coach in the MLS tactic wise. That guy is a tactician.
Yeah.
He took a Montreal team last year to second place in the entire league. No, in the Eastern Conference. My bad. I think they were third in the entire league in the Supporter Shield race.
Whoa, this man's gone. It's okay.
Most part.
Wilfred Nancy.
What the fuck?
That was fun.
That was weird. I don't know what happened there.
Well, we can cut that out. But I was going to say, I totally agree with you with Wilfred Nancy. And I'm eating my words a little bit because at the beginning, when we started this whole podcast, I didn't say that Columbus were necessarily going to be, struggling or not making the playoffs. But I thought that someone, who has that way of playing and that tactical prowess as Wilfred Nancy, I thought that it was going to take time for them to get used to it. I didn't expect them to start clicking so quickly. I thought it was going to take them at least half the season to start getting in there, whereas I think definitely in the first half of the season, they were already getting good results and looking fine and not really worried because you knew it was only going to get better. So I totally agree. I think you look at these past 2 years and you have to say that the best coach in MLS right now, without a doubt, has to be Wilfred Nancy. Has to be. And that's going to give Columbus a big advantage going into the final, but we'll talk about that in a few.
Yeah, and the craziest thing too is that this is a team that literally got rid of Lucas Zelarayan, one of the best number 10s, if not the best number 10, the best creative midfielder in the league, mid-season. Got rid of your best top 2 player, a DP player, mid-season to Qatar, and you still did what you did. And like the balls to be like, we're gonna make $12 million on this sale, and we're still gonna win this shit. Because also Lucas Zelarayan is not like a young guy. He wasn't like he was on the trading block. It was somebody that you probably thought was gonna end his career in MLS. He was older, later 20s, but yeah, pretty insane. So yeah, I highly recommend to you, Adam, and other people that might be listening. There's a YouTube channel called It's Called Soccer. This guy breaks down like the tactics of Wilfred Nancy, and I'll go into deep a little bit more once we talk about the preview. But the way he breaks down the game and his structure and what he's kind of like trying to do it's really impressive. And then you got on the other side Cincinnati, who's had an incredible season. It's been a rough few years for them. Back to back, not back to back, but always fighting for the wooden spoon the past few years. And it's been historically one of the worst teams in MLS. To finally have a year where everything is clicking, you have a coach that has finally got the opportunity, is finally able to build a team the way exactly he wants. You have two strikers in Bupenza and Vasquez who've been
very good
to just be one of the most lethal duos in the MLS. And then obviously your MLS MVP for the 2023 season, Lucho Acosta, who was, to me, I had Hani Mukhtar the first half of the season, but then that second half, Lucho Acosta really started to separate himself from the group, and he was between the goal scoring prowess and then also his just creativity on the ball and being able to progress and make forward passes it's extremely impressive. He's like a knockoff Messi. It was really so like leading into this, you knew this game was going to be high scoring, and then. Yeah, I thought when it was down 2-0, I'm like, man, it's going to be tough. But I didn't count Columbus out because you're talking about two high-powered offenses. And then what do you know? One goal after the other, with the first one happening in, what was the exact minute again, Adam?
The first goal for Columbus happened in, is that what you're asking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, 75th.
75th. Then get the game tying goal right at the very end, and then you send it into extra time and then end up finishing it off. So
yeah,
it was an incredible game.
You never
awesome
felt
game.
that Columbus were going to be out of it because they were controlling the possession and they were controlling the chances and the shots. For most of the game, there was definitely some periods where Cincinnati had their chances, but yeah, you definitely couldn't count out Columbus. And after that first goal, there was enough time left where if you were watching that game live, I'm sure you were probably thinking, oh boy, here we go.
Also, too, that Columbus keeper played out of his fucking mind. He played so well.
He was rated on FotMob as a 7.5, which is very good.
He did better than a 7.5. I'm telling you, that dude, he saved their ass multiple times.
It's tough to give them like a 9 or whatever. I don't know. FotMob, it's like some algorithm. It's not really a person doing it, but
yeah. But either way, he played out of his mind. He kept them in the game. That game should have been a lot worse. I think that game could have been 4-0 very easily if it wasn't for some big saves he pulled up. But man, this was somebody that I was skeptical about when he came into the league. People were hyping up. I'm like, yo, we'll see. Cucho Hernandez has been insane. His technical ability, he's got to be one of the most technical strikers in the game in MLS right now, because not just his goal scoring, because there's players out there that can just goal score, but like all the things, his creativity that he can bring, what he opens up for other players, and then what he's able to do on his 101 ability, it's so good. Like he's so good. Like he's an all around good striker, and he's one of the reasons why they kept him in this game. Like when you have a guy like that and that attacking three, like anything's possible. So. Yeah, man,
it's going to be interesting. So let's end it off on this is the grand finale. We were building up. We're doing a little, talking about this, talking about that, talking about semifinals. But now it's all come down to this. All the predictions that we made over the year, all these weeks of podcasting, talking, bullshitting, and here we are at the MLS Cup final. We've already discussed the two teams. It's Columbus Crew hosting LAFC. We're reporting this on a Friday, so it is going to be tomorrow, Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Very exciting. I think it's going to be a really good game. Two teams that deserve to be there. I think we should end the episode on our actual prediction, but first, I guess we should talk about it a little bit. So my thoughts Obviously, these are both very good teams. I think if you were going to ask me at the beginning of the season, without having or just asked me without having seen these guys play recently at all or having followed them at all, probably would lean LAFC. But the thing is that Columbus are a great team. They can absolutely compete with LAFC. They have the better coach because he is the best coach. We just mentioned, and at home, they're unbeaten in their last 7 home games. And yes, you could look at LAFC and say, well, they haven't lost in 7 matches. That's true, but I think the home field is tough here, and I think it's gonna be a close game. This really could go either way, but I guess at least I'll mention this: the odds makers, at least on DraftKings, because for some reason they let people fucking bet the money line on regular time when there's extra time and penalties. I mean, I guess you could do that, but that shouldn't be the
Because
primary
technically,
fucking
it's
money.
not a win if you go win in extra time.
Which is, whatever. I get it for betting
I hate
purposes.
it when people are like that. They didn't win. They drew and won.
So let's just talk to win the cup. All right, to win the cup, Columbus are a minus 145. LAFC are a plus 120. So it really that's a toss up. That's a toss up. They're never going to have. For those of you who aren't familiar with Vegas and the odds and how it works, you're really never going to see an even. They don't like to do that, even if a game is a 50-50, even if something really is a 50-50. I mean, just look, go on your chosen app that you prefer.
And you have home field advantage.
Look at the over under. That's a percentage point. So they usually, if it's a 50-50, they'll give it to the home team by a little bit. They just don't like having evens. That these toss ups, I can't explain it because I'm not, fucking Vegas odds expert betting guru over here. But if you're gonna see odds that close, usually that just means it's a toss up. They like to have a favorite, whether it's the home team or not. I think the spread is probably half a goal. So they gotta pick something. Okay, what do you favorite by half a goal? Oh wow, that helps. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game. I think the Vegas odds show that. Again, I will end it with our official prediction. But what are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, so I kind of want to go into like what I was saying with like what Will Fernandes asked from his team and like how they've been able to play. And I think I want to give all the respect to Steve Cherundolo. What he's been able to do with LAFC has been great. Granted, he's had amazing players, and a lot of people questioned it when he came into the league, and then when they won it, why he didn't win Coach of the Year last year is because, some people are like, well, look at the team he was given. You know what I mean? Now we come back into this year. You lost Chicho Arango. You lost Gareth Bale. But then you bring in a Denny Bawanga, which was actually brought in last year, but due to injuries, basically didn't play. You lost your starting goalkeeper last year in the MLS Cup final because he broke his leg, and you had to have John McCarthy step in for pretty much the entire season. And he's been able to do what they did. He didn't rest his team at all, pretty much throughout the entirety of the CONCACAF Champions League, which is something Seattle didn't do at all. Seattle, when they won, they pretty much threw away the season. Yeah. LA didn't. LA stayed at one of the top teams in the Western Conference, and they played every single regular season game with their starters and also their Champions League games with their starters. But I think what Columbus has been able to do tactically and be able, like you said, pick it up so quickly, what Will Fernandes does and what the guy in the YouTube channel it's called Soccer, because I want to give him the credit for really breaking this down and showing like what he's doing, is he's found a way to really keep his team close and kind of bunch up by bunching his team up, which is forcing the other team to kind of bunch up as well. but then you leave your wing backs out wide to be able to open up the wing back and kind of open up the field a little bit. You kind of bring them close and then you bring them apart. And what he's been, and then he's been able to do that because of the two studs that you have in the midfield, Aiden Morris and Darlington Nagbe. Darlington Nagbe is, to me, one of the best, is the best midfielder. It's like central / defensive midfielder in the league. The way he's able to work with the ball at his feet, the way he's able to progress the ball forward. And then Aiden Morris, a young guy who's been able to step up this season and really work well and complement each other with Darlington Nagbe, has been just an amazing duo. And without that duo, you wouldn't be able to have what you have up top with Cucho and Rossi and Christian Ramirez. And at the times, Lucas Elleron. Just they feel more complete versus on the LAFC side, you have Maxime Crepeau, which he's still a little rusty. Obviously, I mean, he didn't play pretty much at all. He started coming in the last couple months. And then you have a back line with Kalini and Murillo and Aaron Long. And it's a back line with not a lot of speed, man. And honestly, the idea of Kalini being on Cucho Hernandez would terrify the shit out of me. Granted, LAFC has been able to play, especially with Denny Bawanga, they've done a really good job at playing transition ball. LAFC has done a very good job at being able to not ask too much out of Kalini. Like, hey, if we sit back kind of like in a mid-block almost, you can kind of like, you're not forcing him to play this high line and having him to have to chase back, which is what we saw a lot for like Miami, for example. We had our older defenders who try to play this high line, but then they didn't have the speed to get back. And I think Cherundolo's done a really good job of like kind of seeing what your weaknesses are and like how can we improve on that. And Kalini, honestly, fitness-wise, has looked really great. And I think due to that system. So
yeah, I agree. They had to use him right because I mean that guy. Not only is he ancient, but he's a fucking he's just a redwood tree standing in the defense. That's what he is. He's a fucking tree trunk.
But midfield to midfield, look, Tillman has been a great pickup for them. He's been really well, kind of played like this 8-10 rule. Ilya Sanchez has been very solid. I'm not super high on Acosta. I think he's an all right MLS player. I'm not super high on him, but I love what they're doing with Darlington Nagbe, Aiden Morris, and then like you have Julian Gressel on the right wing, and then you have oh my god, why am I drawing a blank on the left wing? I'm gonna pull it up right here. Yeboah. That's right. I was watching him play. He was playing super well on that left flank. So and then with the way the Columbus keeper Schulte has been. Dude's been on fire, at least this playoffs. So I just kind of like what Columbus is doing. And my bracket, I pretty much predicted this final. I only had one game wrong on the Eastern Conference side, and it was Nashville. I had Nashville beating Orlando, but Columbus beat Orlando. And then I had LAFC in the final. So this is exactly what I pictured. And you know who I picked to win? I picked Columbus. And even though I've seen this whole playoffs, I think I'm going to stick with Columbus. I like the tactics that they're doing. This is going to be an exciting game. Like I said, 2 high-powered attacks, 2 teams that love to play transition ball. I think you're going to see probably a 3-3 going to overtime, extra time, maybe a 3-2. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be electrifying. You're going to see a lot of back and forth, I think. You're going to see a lot of just quality on the field at once. It's going to be probably, I'm predicting it's going to be one of the more exciting MLS Cup finals in history. I mean, last year is going to be hard to top. Last year was really good. Last year was good, but it was also sloppy. I'm thinking this year it's going to be exciting, just as exciting as last year, but be a lot more clean.
Well, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be really nice. It is going to be I'm hoping it's going to be exciting. And sometimes with these 2 matchups, man, Columbus, that's going to be the best part.
A team that almost wasn't in Columbus anymore until the Save the Crew movement.
Yeah.
Like a team that we almost didn't even have this final in Columbus right now. If they actually move to Austin.
So that's crazy. I mean, good for them, good for their fan base. They really deserve it. They're truly are a really, really passionate and great group of fans that have kept that club alive and really pushed it. And it really helped push it to this final, if we're being honest. I mean, their home form is just so good. So let's put you on the spot now. Let's close it out for the MLS season. Who is your MLS Cup champ tomorrow?
Like I said, I got to stick with my bracket. I'm 2 out of however many fucking games it was. I'm going with Columbus. Columbus is winning it. Like I said, I just feel like their team is going to be a little bit more complete. I think the coach is I think they have an advantage. Even though Cherundolo, all respect to Cherundolo, I think he's done a great job. I think like I said, I just believe Wolf Nancy is the best tactician in the entire league. I think he's cooking up something nice. And I think keeper to keeper, after what I saw Schulte do against Cincinnati, I feel good about what he can do against Denny Bouanga and LAFC and Carlos Vela and the boys.
Yeah. So that's that.
And LA's defense scares me.
Yeah.
Houston was, like I said, Houston lacked a clinical finisher. I think now you're getting one of the most deadly offenses in all of MLS. And
yeah,
I can't say that they really faced that the entire playoffs. I mean, Seattle isn't super deadly. Houston's not super deadly offensively. Neither is Vancouver. This is going to be their toughest test yet that they're facing this playoff.
So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Columbus. I did say early on when we were making this bracket, even though I had Nashville beating Orlando, I felt that if it was either Nashville or Orlando, Columbus, Atlanta, I felt that team, whoever was going to come out of that side of the bracket, was going to win. So after Columbus went through, and
don't try to make yourself seem good. Don't try to make you.
I got a lot wrong. I got a lot wrong.
Don't try to make yourself look good.
Trust me, I compared to you, I got a lot more wrong.
I'm honestly impressed with myself. I can't believe I got like only 2 wrong.
No, that is the truth, though. I did feel
one was an upset that I got wrong.
I did, yeah. But I did feel that whoever came out of that side of the bracket was gonna be fine. I liked the teams. Even though they weren't necessarily the highest power. You look at Philadelphia and Cincinnati, and you're thinking, okay, why not those teams? And it definitely could have been. It was, like we said, it was a great game in the semifinals. But I just felt that after, I don't know. It was just I from the very beginning had my eye on that corner of the bracket. Maybe I got the team wrong off the beginning. That I won't lie about. But I kept my faith on that side of the bracket. At home in Columbus, I think makes the difference here. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But I think Columbus are gonna be celebrating tomorrow. And Mr. Julian has.
Dude, why is it doing that?
Well, it did it perfect timing, so you're gonna have a free edit.
Okay, yeah.
You have a free edit right there because it's right when I finished.
Yeah. Imagine being a Montreal fan right now. Just imagine. Like I would be so mad. You brought in a guy who's here for 2 years, turned this team around, made him one of the top teams in the league, to just trade him away.
Yeah.
For whatever the fee was that they got in return. Look, maybe the money was so much that it's like we can't deny it. But like, come on, man. Like,
well, now they're gonna watch. You can't help their team win.
Yeah, your man Saputo just be like, "Fuck, we shouldn't have got rid of this guy."
Yeah,
because from what I understand, Wilfred Nancy came from like the Montreal Academy. Like he was a coach in the academy and kind of worked his way all the way up. So really interesting. I would like to learn more about his story because I want to say that is the case. But yeah, man. Really excited. Like I said, 4 p.m. tomorrow. I don't know if all you guys are going to see it. So by the time you watch this podcast, because it's a little short notice, you may not see it till after the fact. So let us know if we were wrong or stupid or whatever it is. But Yeah, we're going to end it off with a little trivia questions today. From what, if you guys are fans of regular Real Fans podcast, I have a couple of trivia questions for Adam that we're going to go over. Obviously, we don't have a third person, so we're not going to do a more competitive thing. And I'd find just one person asking the other answering is going to be a little bit better. So the next week, Adam's going to come and give me the questions, and then I have to answer them, and then we can kind of
I do like that system. I like that system. So, all right. So hit me with them. Let's see if I can get it by myself or if I'm going to need some of your good old hints.
Okay. What year did David Beckham join the LA Galaxy and the MLS?
Wow. Okay. So let me think.
Did you watch the Beckham documentary? It tells you.
I didn't. I did not. I really didn't. Okay, I'm just gonna guess because I'm thinking about like the era. I could be off. I could be way off. I'm gonna say and I'm just basing this off of like the quality of the picture that I remember. I want to say 2010.
Nope. It's 2007.
Oh, okay. I was a couple
2007.
Couple years off. Not as bad as I thought.
All right.
Could have been a lot worse.
I thought it was 2006 actually, from what I remember, but then when I looked at the answer, it's 2007. All right. Next question. That is 0 out of 1 you have. Which MLS team owns the league record for the most consecutive wins? This is including regular season and playoffs.
So
if you can give me the team, then you can get bonus points for the year. I'm not going to have you guess the amount of games because that's a lot.
The all-time win streak. So it's got to be between. Thinking of these. Give me a sec.
It's a classic team. That's your hint. It's the original 6, original 8. It's one of the original 8.
That's what I'm thinking. But I'm just trying to think. Is it probably easier than I'm thinking? I should probably just go for it. LA Galaxy?
Correct. Bonus points for which year?
Fucking probably early. Was it multiple seasons? Was it like
it was over the course of 2 seasons. Yeah.
The league was started in 96. 98?
Yeah. 97, 98. It was 15 wins in a row. 15
I was thinking, I knew
row.
it had to be early. I was like, how early do I want to go? And I was like, I'm thinking like either 99 or 98, but I was like, I'll go 98, my birthday.
That's crazy. I would have thought it would have been the Beckham years, like when they won like 3 titles in 4 years, like the Donovan.
But it does
Beckham
make
years.
sense, you know. I mean, the league was very new. Not a lot of teams. I don't know how the playoff system works.
15.
Guarantee you there weren't as many games.
15 games in a row.
Okay.
All right. Which MLS team has the longest active playoff streak right now?
LAFC.
And they were in this playoff.
Is it LAFC? Oh, you mean active streak in the playoffs of winning or active to get into the playoffs? Does the play-in count?
Yes, the play-in does count.
Oh, shit. Okay, so it's going to be... I read this the other day. I should know this. what fucking team was it? No, it's not. The other New York, the Red Bulls.
Yes, the New York Red Bulls has made 14
I read this the other day. Yeah,
playoffs.
because I was like, because I read that and I was like,
because they had a play-in, which
that's what I'm saying. I read that and I was like, I don't count that because it's a play-in. So that's why I had to think for a second. I was like, I know this. Hold on a sec.
They
was
got
like, play-in,
saved.
right? And you were like, yes. And I was like, okay, got it. Hold on.
Yeah.
I was like,
I wish I didn't have to say play-in, but when the play-in,
I needed to ask because that's what made me remember it. It's because I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah, the play-in, that's what saved their streak.
Yeah.
All right. The final question. Which MLS team has the longest active unbeaten streak at home? My bad, not active. Longest unbeaten streak at home.
I'll fucking be pulling this out of my ass. This one I don't know. I'll just say Columbus because fuck it.
No, it is the Houston Dynamo. 30 consecutive home games.
Holy shit.
From the year 2011 to 2013. Over the course of 2 years, they won
before anybody gave a shit.
30 consecutive home games. Pretty wild. Especially for MLS, I will say. With the parity that's in the league. It's crazy. But yeah, that is it for the questions and the trivia questions this week. We're going to come back for more. But yeah, let's end it off here. Any final thoughts, Adam?
That just about does it.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to the end. I greatly appreciate it. For listening to episode 22. We're planning on bringing some more guests next week. We're going to stay true to the actual name of the podcast of Real Fans and bring on real fans of different teams. So tune in next week to see more fans from different teams so we get a better and more insightful perspective about that specific team, especially this offseason. We really want to dive into maybe the people who are fans of the CONCACAF Champions League teams to kind of get a better idea of what they expect leading into the season, as well as the transfer window and things like that. But yeah, you know where to find us, all the socials, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. And yeah, we will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.